MyMac Podcast 826. Mission 1Possible.
And welcome, everyone, to the MyMac.com podcast. And in the same week as the announcement of the M1-based Macs, Big Sur has also been released for the general public, and it goes to 11, Gaz. It goes to 11. Well, the new macOS version does anyway. And with that update comes general compatibility issues and major questions. And if I could have worked a lieutenant or a sergeant in there, I would have, but I can't. About the M1 processor and if it is all that in a bag of crisps or chips, depending on where you're listening to this. Now, did you update? Did you update to Big Sur?
No, I was so close to pressing the button, and then I thought, hang on a doggone minute.
Wait a second.
Didn't I see an email come out from Carbon Copy Cloner about incompatibility? And in his email, this is not going to be my tip, folks. This is not going to be my tip. But I think he says something along the lines of, maybe you might be better off waiting for a few iterations before you upgrade properly if you're highly reliant on your backup process. Now, I'm not. I've got my backups, and I can live with, I can live with it for a few days or even a few weeks, because the amount of data and photos that I'll be adding
it's going to change. Yeah.
Yeah. So I can probably live with waiting and upgrading. But then I saw Boinks came out, and their iStop Motion still isn't compatible. Well, it's not compatible with, still isn't compatible with Catalina. So I've actually given them some feedback, as I am wont to do.
Well, I think Lion just came out. I'm kidding.
So maybe. Most of their other apps are actually compatible with Big Sur, I think, in fact. So,
I checked to see if Nemo is. Not that I've been using it lately.
I nearly went, but then I saw, there's an update for GarageBand. Let me update it. And it says GarageBand can't be installed on Macintosh HD because macOS version 11 or later is required. So then I thought, hang on a minute, what's macOS 11? Oh, yes, that's Big Sur. Yes. So, no, I haven't upgraded yet. And I don't know when I will be, to be perfectly honest with you.
Well,
probably soon, if I'm honest.
Because I saw the little notification in software update, and I turned off auto update because it was like I go to bed and it's like, okay, you're gonna do it while I'm in bed or whatever, and I'll come and it'll all be done. Yeah. But for a jump like Big Sur, I turned that off because I don't quite know what is going to happen. Now, Rogue Amoeba, who is like front and center in what we do here on the MyMac.com podcast, has initial compatibility with any applications that they sell that needs their ACE component, which is their audio capture engine.
Yep.
The problem is it says initial compatibility, which does not necessarily mean it's going to be 100%. The other problem is it is not yet compatible with an M1 Mac, which is going to become important right now because I bought an M1 Mac after swearing up and down that I wouldn't buy a first-gen Mac because I'm crazy.
Well, no, if you remember, I kind of hinted that you're going to either be a winner on that score because they are going to put so much into it and it's going to be absolutely screaming, and everybody goes, wow, these new Silicon Macs are fantastic. Apple Silicon Macs are fantastic. Or it's going to be, phew, I'm glad we got that out there. Now let's cross our fingers.
Let's make a real silicon-based Mac.
Yeah. So I think you'll be all right. I'll have a chat about that. I haven't looked actually at the middle section because Yeah, I thought you'd be putting that in there, so we'll come to that a little bit later. But yeah, I'm glad you bought. So you've gone for the Mac Mini, have you?
Yeah,
are you going to talk about it later, or do you want to talk about it now?
Yeah, well, I'm going to talk about it just a little bit here.
Okay, yeah, go on then.
Now, I avoided the first gen PowerPC and Intel offerings, but like you were saying, there was something about this one that made me press the button. Did you listen to Mike Potter's
yes
podcast with that I was on?
Yeah.
And there was a phrase that I used quite often on that show.
Yes. You were repeating it rather a little too often for my liking, and probably for Chuck's as well, to be honest with you.
Yeah, maybe. But it was like every single time Apple was, shut up and take my money. So, and I think it was when they started coming out with the specs, and it's kind of, and we're going to go more into this in a little bit, but even most of the reliable pundits out there that have gotten their hands on some of these machines are saying, okay, Apple isn't kidding, with applications that are ready for Big Sur and applications that are ready for the M1 processor, they are seeing these kinds of speed over other Intel-based Macs, which is great. So the more they talked about it in the really, really short presentation that they did,
45 minutes,
the more it was like, oh, I'm going to get one, damn it. I'm just going to go ahead and do it. So I did. The other thing I bought, and as it turned out, I may not have needed it, was an OWC, Otherworld Computing, Thunderbolt 3 dock. It has two HDMI 4K outputs that may not work, and there'll be more on that later.
Yeah.
Two USB-A ports and an Ethernet port. And if that wasn't enough, Gaz, you remember a couple of weeks ago, I bought that monitor because that Apple monitor that I had was kind of giving up the ghost.
Yes.
Well, the monitor that I bought then was a 1080p monitor, so 1920 by 1080. And my iMac is at like 2500 by something, a much higher resolution. So when you had them side by side, it just didn't really look that good. And because I was going to use my secondary iMac monitor also for this M1 Mac Mini, I had to have something better. So I went over to Microcenter, which is here, local here in Fairfax County, Virginia. And it was a Dell 4K 27-inch monitor on sale under $300. And it has two 4K HDMI inputs. So that means one for the Mac and one for the Mac Mini when it gets here. And I'll switch between them as needed. So now I have two, not one, two 1080p monitors that I have no idea what I'm going to do with. Now, one of them I actually have hooked up to the old Mac Mini that I bought just a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
For reasons. That's my 32-bit machine, my Mojave machine.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure where. I mean, I'm going to have 3 friggin' computers on this desk. And there's a small part of me, very small part of me, that says, you're out of your mind, guy. Get rid of something.
There's a big part of me that's saying that to you as well.
Yeah, there's probably a large part of the entire audience that's saying that. But we'll see where I'm going to put everything and how I'm going to make everything work. As it is, my desk here is a complete disaster. And I need to do something, but I don't know what yet.
You crazy man. You crazy man.
How was your week?
Okay, so after giving blood and listening to the Apple event, that's why I missed the reaction time podcast from Mike. And then coming home, I spent a lot of the week looking at new Silicon Macs, Guy. I've even contemplating selling MyMac to fund a new combo Mac Mini and screen, a little bit like you've done. Sounds dumb? Well, maybe and maybe not, because actually Mrs. Gaz doesn't use this particular computer very much at all because she says the screen's too big. Yes.
The 27 inch?
Yes, you said it's too big and the icons are all too small. And I'm thinking, well, yes, I can change the screen resolution, but then why have a 5K Mac screen if you're going to change the resolution?
Does she
anyway,
log in her own account?
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. So that's to a certain degree, that doesn't drive the decision. But I am thinking it is quite large, and do I need it? And actually, I could perhaps get a 4K 23-inch, 23 or 4-inch, which I think they actually sell on the Apple website as well. The Dell ones, or no, the LG ones, I think they are.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm contemplating, but I have got two other Mac Minis. One which is my home server, and I thought, if I sell both of those, which are old, so I won't get an awful lot for them. You're talking 2010, 2011, so they won't be.
Yeah, won't be too much.
But I will get a bit, and that could go towards getting a new one. But then I'm thinking, hang on a minute, will I be able to use one of the new Macs, M1 with an M1 Apple Silicon as a server? Because it's kind of changed a little bit now, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So I'm going to do a bit of research on that first, but I am still contemplating actually, selling off this Mac and changing my setup here, though that's a long-term outlook. I'm going to see, just because this is 2015, so this is now 5 years old.
Yeah.
So I'm going to wait and see. There's no rush. I've got no requirement for it.
Well, chances are, if you sell your iMac, you'll be
absolutely
of what you need.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to wait and see, just reaction to the new Macs, and I can talk to you just how good they are with the Apple Silicon, because we'll talk about this later. They showed some impressive graphs. However, more on my thoughts on those graphs later.
World.
Yes. So I thought that you might buy a Mac Mini, Guy.
Yeah.
Which, if you remember, I said there would be a Mac Mini in last week's show. I said there would.
You did.
Yeah.
You did. And I was, what was the desktop? I was talking about a 24-inch iMac, I think, which also would have worked really well for low end if they'd gone that way.
Yeah,
but
I think they've got something.
We'll go into it.
We'll talk about that later.
There's no new articles other than the banana-based cuisine one that we talked about last week.
Best wine for banana-based cuisine, a review by Grape Ape, a 60-foot tall gorilla with a baseball cap.
Yeah,
that one.
Yeah, Mr. Hanna and Mr. Barbera, thank you very much.
Thank you very much
for that.
Straight into Gaz's snippets. Like it. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so a little bit shorter this week because there's been an awful lot of news around the Macs, and not an awful lot of other news, but there's still enough. So Apple's internal IPs have been leaked by its search bot.
Its peas are leaking?
Its peas are leaking. Apple search bots have been leaked. It has been leaking Apple's internal IPs. A security research has discovered. It took Apple over 9 months to fix it. Well done, Apple. Apple in talks to buy a podcast network called Wondery. Speculation, but, they are starting to get back into podcasting, isn't it? It's funny.
What does Steve think about that?
And what Steve thinks about that is very simple.
No.
I agree with Steve.
HomePod mini delivery times slipping already to early December after pre-orders. Incredible. I don't know how they do it. I just don't know how they do it. I
got one coming. I ordered.
Do you know what, Guy? I think this Apple malarkey, they've got too many fervent followers, and it's ridiculous. They even make podcasts about the damn company.
and video casts. Can you
ridiculous.
Believe it?
I just don't believe it at all. I mean, they should be normal people like us.
Yeah.
Magic. If you have an entry level iPad, the Combo Touch could make it your workhorse. Hand up at the back there, that's me, because that's what I'm going for. So let's just see if this particular article from the Register applies to me. I'll be letting you know in a few weeks when I finally get my iPad, which is not coming till next week. God dear, come on, Apple, pull your finger out, get some manufacturing done. Apple suspends business with, perhaps they can't get manufacturing done. Apple suspends business with iPhone supplier Pegatron for labor violations.
And
Bad.
the best part is they'll go to another Chinese manufacturer that doesn't have labor violations. Good job.
But actually, I'm going to refer back to a bit of a story that I had in my previous company, which was Cummins, an American company, and they set up in Russia many years ago, and I went there a couple of times to help out with the business unit there. And one of the things we were extremely concerned about was all of the backhanders and bribes that used to have to go on. But
still goes on. Well,
yeah, I know it does, but actually it's a lot less than it used to be. And the thing is, you've got to make a stance, and you've got to take, you've got to put a position out there. So this might change it just a lincy bit, but actually you've got to, if it's small steps, then great. But it's either that or not be there at all and use someone else, and I don't know whether that's good or bad. So yeah, I know where you're coming from in what you said. There was a follow-up there. Key Apple supplier Pegatron caught in labor violations, banned from new contracts. So if they're banned from new contracts as well, then, they're putting their foot down. YouTube app adds HDR support for iPhone 12. Well, that's good. It's only been out a little while, so that's good.
Yeah.
iPhone 12 mini reviews, the best small smartphone. However, battery life is giving a little bit of concern, much to be desired.
Really? I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, I've seen that a couple of times. That's why I threw that one in there, because that's not so good. So we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see. Very often what happens is you get a new phone, and if you reload your old stuff on it, the battery life for the first few days is often terrible anyway. I found this when I do an update, my 11. I think, what has gone wrong with my phone? It's lasting 3/4 of a day. And then
you turn it on and it goes shutting down.
And after a little while, it picks back up again. So sometimes you have got to be a little patient, and it picks itself back up again. Picks itself up off the floor, Guy. It's what it does. Apple has begun shipping updated 20-watt USB-C chargers with the new iPad Pro purchases. Yeah, it's all about the watts, man. It's all about the watts. I'm
California.
Apple profit has leapt 267% in India for fiscal 2020. Well, there's a surprise.
Well, since they had almost none before putting in the factory, so now their profits have jumped up huge amounts.
It's incredible how this thing happens, isn't it? Really, I just don't understand it myself. Now, did you see? Not at this last Apple event, but at the Apple event before, they had a new Duo MagSafe charger, which did your watch and your phone.
Apple did?
Yeah. Did you not see that? It was
I don't.
It was a combo unit. Yes, they did that in not this last one, but the one before. They showed a combo charging unit. Now that has just been given FCC approval, which is a surprise.
Okay.
They didn't say it was available, but they did highlight it, because a few people.
Well, I do have
quite a lot
charger.
of people. Quite a lot of people got quite excited about it when seeing it, but they didn't cover it and say how much it was going to cost or anything. But it's now had FCC approval.
Okay, well, I do have a charger that has 3 USB-C charging ports, but the wattage on them is relatively low.
Okay, so this one, basically you can put your watch on it and it sits the watch up, and it's got the
so it's like a key.
Yeah, and it's portable as well. So the watch piece sits out at 90 degrees to the plate. So it lays flat, but when you open it up, you can then pull out the charger for the watch, and it sits upright. So you can still use your watch at night, because some people use their watch for nighttime mode, don't they? And it opens up like a cantilever, and on one side you can lay your phone onto the MagSafe piece on the whichever side it is, because obviously you can turn it around. Yeah. So, but
Okay, good.
What I was surprised with, they've just got FCC approval for it, so that'll be coming to the market soon, and I'm sure it'll be some ridiculous price. But there you go.
Of course, it's Apple.
MacBook maker Compal has been hit by a 17 million ransom attack. Not good time for Apple, of course.
Or not a good time for Compal either.
No. True. Yeah.
It's like Apple could say, huh.
Yeah. Oh, well,
There's
you'll have
this
to pay
other
it.
guy over here that doesn't have a ransomware.
And we'll get them to make them instead.
Yeah.
Well, that's not very nice, is it? I can't imagine that they'd be doing that. You wouldn't do that, would you, Steve?
No.
Yeah.
You might think.
Yeah, you might think, but no. Apparently, Rosetta 2 will keep old Intel apps running on Apple's new silicon. Now, they did mention
most of them. Yeah.
Yeah, they did mention this, but to your point, yes, most of them. Just be a bit careful. The reason I wanted to pop this in was exactly because of that statement. Just be a little bit wary, folks.
Anytime you've got an emulation layer, there's always going to be one or two applications out of 100 that are just like, no, I only want to work on an Intel processor, so I'm not going to work. I'm sorry, but not really.
Yeah.
And that's the way they look at you.
Now, did you enjoy the end of the event when?
Yes. Yes, I did. That was
his name?
John Hodgman.
John Hodgman came on. I think he did that really well, actually, because I quite enjoyed that. Watching him
I was
on,
surprised.
and he was going, I'm really fast. I'm really fast. Oh, quick! I need some charge.
I'm really surprised that they didn't get. Oh gosh darn it! What's
the
his
other
name?
guy?
The
Other guy. While you're looking for his name, I don't think this is going to be a ongoing, and perhaps he didn't want to do it, and perhaps he's not looking quite the same. Whereas John Hodgman looks like he did when he did the ads back in whenever it was.
Though somebody was saying that they saw that they knew something was up because they saw a Twitter post from him, and he'd shaved off his beard and mustache.
Yeah.
So he was looking more like he did when he was doing PC, and sure enough, he was back in doing PC.
Back in doing PC. Now, apparently, the M1 MacBook Air, MacBook Pro, and Mac Mini are not compatible with eGPUs. Now, that I think is a bit of a miss, to be honest with you, Apple.
That's a problem.
I think that's a big problem, but I'm sure we'll come on to that in a little bit. Apple is selling the new Solo Loop.
Justin Long. Sorry, that was his name. I was just about to look it up, and as soon as I opened up a new tab in Chrome, it was like it came into my mind. Yes, I'm sorry, Justin Long was the name of the guy that was made.
You finished? Apple's selling new Solo Loop and sport bands in kumquat. I'm just laughing.
Which is the weirdest sounding fruit ever made.
Northern blue and plum. Yes, kumquat. Yes. I don't know why they'd make a fruity band, but there you go. Apple Watch cellular models now available in Belgium, Telnet exclusive provider. I thought they'd got over this, this exclusivity thing. I thought we'd got past that.
Well, I mean, you have to remember that in up until whenever this story came out, you couldn't even get an Apple Watch with cellular in Belgium. Now, what you did if you went to Belgium with a cellular Apple Watch, I don't know. I don't know if it would still. I guess it still would have worked.
Well, it still would have worked because in Europe you've got roaming, and it's roaming at a reasonable rate, so you don't have to worry too much about charges. And they've all got an agreement across Europe, so it shouldn't have been a problem. But hey ho.
Yeah. Roaming was beaten by the hordes, by the way.
It was beaten by the hordes. The fjords. Federal judge has tossed out Apple's theft claims in the ongoing Epic Games legal fight. California judge on last Tuesday dismissed some of Apple's counterclaims against Epic Games in its ongoing antitrust battle over Apple App Store fees. I don't quite know what the claims were. There's a whole link here, but
honestly, it's at the point now it just doesn't matter. whether Epic wins or loses.
Yeah,
basically, the game is dead in iOS, and it's not going to come back. There's other games that are taking its place.
Can you not play it through the cloud, through the websites?
Yeah. There's a kludge that you can go and you can still play the game, but I just can't see most people. Yeah, I just can't see most people that are still playing Fortnite as wanting to go to all that trouble when there are alternate games that you can play.
Okay. AirPlay 2 and HomeKit are rolling out to select Roku streaming players and TVs, and there was a follow-up that said, AirPlay on Roku? This changes everything.
Yeah, and what it basically also means is for all of you looking for a brand new Apple TV, keep looking.
Apple offers staff. I was surprised at this. I didn't get the time to take a read of the article. It says Apple are offering staff an extra $500 a day to resume visits to China. Now, whether that's because people are too scared to go back to China, whereas I think they've kind of got it sorted now, possibly over there, rightly or wrongly, legally or illegally. Let's not go on that. Let's not go on that. But yeah, they're offering staff an extra $500. So they obviously need to have people going out there to check stuff like Boogatron.
Yeah.
Barack Obama. Go on.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm going to stop. I was going to say something.
Don't be
say
naughty.
That guy.
Don't
say it. So I'm just
naughty.
going to not do that.
Barack Obama interview is airing on November 17th on Apple TV Plus on the Oprah Conversation Show. There you go. Thought you'd be interested in that guy, or maybe not. I don't know.
What was your first clue?
Apple reminds developers about iOS apps on the Mac App Store and potential compatibility issues.
What?
Really?
Yeah. How could that happen? It's only a brand new processor, a brand new OS, and a brand new platform that's going to be running applications that were never meant to run on it before. What could go wrong?
I think this feels a little bit like a repeat, but I thought I'd put it in there because there was both on here. Apple TV app is now available for download on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. I think I've said that before, but just in case, I'm repeating it.
Apple TV's dead. Sorry, excuse me.
Microsoft has released Office for Mac with Apple Silicon compatibility. Universal build is still in beta, though. Beta. You say beta, I say beta.
Let's call the whole thing off.
Apparently, Philips Hue has added support for HomeKit adaptive lighting to ambience lighting. Ambience lighting. Hello, guy. I'm going to
let's talk about ambience lighting.
Foxconn sees strong Apple iPhone
French
12 design. Can you stop interrupting me once I've started? You've got to stop. Let me move on. That's the art of comedy, guy.
No, see, the problem is it's a delay.
You see, you won't let me say the word. Give me a gap. That's the art of timing, guy. Timing. Foxconn sees strong Apple phone 12 demand and reiterates major US investment.
Yeah, all those jobs they've created in Wisconsin.
Yeah, we continue to push forward in Wisconsin as planned, but the project has to be in line with the market demand. There could be a change in what product we make there, Chairman Liu Yongwei said at an investor conference. Yeah.
Meanwhile, Foxconn is suing Wisconsin, and Wisconsin is suing Foxconn over the number of jobs that have actually been created. Who knew?
macOS Big Sur installation failed. An error occurred while installing the selected updates. There was a couple of these gone out, and Apple then pulled 14.3, watchOS 7.2, and tvOS 14.3 updates amid the slew of server issues. And then Yes. So that's not good. Now, Apple have now gone on to stop signing 14.1, blocking downgrades from 14.2. So if you're still on 14.1 and you're thinking, I'm going to try 14.2, but I might back it out. No. If you're not sure, stay where you are. But there are some serious security flaws which they have fixed in 14.2. So I would highly recommend you move to it, to be perfectly honest. Apple has joined the industry group working towards 6G. We got 5G working yet.
We don't. There are places that are like, when are we going to get 4G?
When are we going to get Edge? Some of them are saying.
Sorry, what's cellular? What's a computer?
Yeah. Not round these parts. Apple shares teaser for Servant Season 2, which is premiering on January 15th. What you know? Nutrions, yeah. Nutri-bombs.
There's a callback. Okay.
Hassan Minhaj joins Apple TV's The Morning Show for Season 2. Now, this one was, here's everything Apple didn't announce at its November Apple event. I thought, you're going to be kidding me.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. What, like the Apple car, the Apple TV, the stickers, loads of things. I had to put that in because it made me laugh. Now, two quick ones that came in just before the show. So I've not really got a handle on these at all, but I noted them very quickly. Making the grade, how a 15-year-old went from no coding knowledge to being recognized by Apple for an iOS bug fix. 15-year-old Gias Umarov, a high schooler from New Jersey who's always had a deep interest in computers, as many kids do, went on and basically found a bug for Apple iOS. So well done him.
The weird thing was he was 14 when he found the bug, but he had no coding knowledge till he was 15. It's New Jersey.
You said it. I'm not going to say anything.
That's okay. It's like the French. We don't have any listeners from New Jersey.
And if we do, prove us wrong and you'll get a wootie.
Yeah.
A wootie for New Jersey. Right.
Yeah. And I will be dead. Someone will come here and kill me. Okay.
iPhone 12.
From New Jersey.
No, don't do that because we won't be able to carry on.
Yeah, that's true.
iPhone 12 mini users have reported lock screen touch sensitivity issues, guys. So
the users are this big.
They could have jumped up. They can't reach it.
What was it? We were cracking up about it a couple of weeks ago. It was like a unit of measurement. Yay big. They're yay big.
They're yay big.
They're yay big. But they have full size iPhone 12s.
No, they've bought the mini. Point. And that's the end of this section of Gaz's snippets. However, I've got some Gaz's links. Okay.
Nice.
A UK general says that a quarter of the army could be robots by the 2030s, guy, in the UK. Yeah.
Your clothes, give them to me.
Yeah. Yeah. The European Commission charged Amazon over misuse of seller data. So it's not just Apple that the EU has a go at. They have a go at all of the big tech companies. And this one I saw last minute as well. And I'm thinking, why do Android phones mysteriously exchange 260 megabytes a month of data with Google via cellular data when they're not even in use? Don't know. How accurate that is, I do not know. If there are any Android users that do know the full story there, let us know. But I just went, So that's the end of these Gaz's links.
Speaking of using cellular data, I did something shockingly stupid last week.
Go on.
I updated Big Sur, the beta version of Big Sur, on my MacBook Air at work using cellular data when I could have just waited till I got home. And it took like 4 hours to download the thing. And then when it got done, I got this message from my provider saying, well, we're not going to cut back on your data for your phone. However, if you use any more hotspot data, it's getting sliced and diced, baby. Why I did that, I have no idea.
Because you're stupid.
Sometimes I definitely
No, I've
am.
been there as well and kind of gone, and then I've gone, oh, no, I don't want to do it. I'm on cellular. No. We've all been there. You were just so excited, Guy. That's why.
I was.
Okay. Shall I take us out?
Beta. Yes, please.
Everybody, stand by for the most exhaustive review of the M1 chips. To stand by for the most exhaustive M1 chip review. Because Guy and Gaz will be right back.
Oh, that's a certainty. And welcome back, everyone, to point 212 of the MyMac podcast for this week. And it should come as absolutely zero shocks at all that we are going to talk about the November 10th One More Thing event. Now, we talked about this last week, but we had no knowledge whatsoever as compared to this week.
Well, we've still got no knowledge.
Exactly. So it was probably the shortest Apple event in recent memory ever that I can think of. There were 3 new M1 base Macs that were put out there, 2 laptops and 1 desktop. Max RAM on all of these machines is 16 gigabytes, and we'll talk about why in a minute. One potential gotcha for the 2 laptops is that you can only use one external display for both the MacBook Air and the MacBook Pro, 2 for the Mac Mini if you use the HDMI out and one of the Thunderbolt 3 USB 4 ports. Now, I told you at the beginning of the show that I had bought that OWC dock that has 2 connects up via Thunderbolt.
I've got one of the first OWC docks, actually. Just looking at it in the corner of my eye, it's on the shelf, and that's got a HDMI out as well, which is, I assume, is what you've got on your newest
well, the one that's coming. It's got 2.
Yeah, okay.
And what I'm not sure about is, can I connect to 2 different monitors and extend my desktop through the dongle, or do I have to just use one and then HDMI out from the main machine itself? Now, as far as the Mac Mini goes, it doesn't matter, because I'm either going to have one HDMI from the computer and one HDMI from the dongle, or 2 from the dongle, because no one in their right mind, myself included, would connect up 3 monitors to a single Mac Mini. That's just crazy. However,
why is it crazy?
Because it just is. Get a bigger, better machine if you need to connect 3 monitors to something like the Mac Mini.
I've got a Windows tablet here, and I've got 2 external screens, including the tablet screen. That's 3 screens. It runs them. It's fine.
We'll see.
It'll be interesting experiment for you to see if you can get it working, and if it can.
Yeah, with just the dongle was what I'm hoping.
Yeah.
But the weird thing is, I've only got one external 4K monitor, so I'll have to bring one of the 1080p monitors in and connect to both of those, and I'm not sure how that's going to affect the outcome. What I could do, because I have
But I mean,
Go ahead.
currently Macs don't deal with differential screens that well. Mind you, I don't think Microsoft
Nobody
does as
does.
well.
Yeah.
So
Nobody
so
does.
so it'll be interesting to see what you get out of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the devices themselves. They started off with the 13.3-inch MacBook Air M1 processor, and a lot of this is going to be the same for all of these units. Has 8-core CPU, 4 performance, 4 efficiency cores, 7 or 8-core GPU. That's 7 on the low end, 8 on the high end. 16-core neural engine, which I'm still not really sure what that means. 400 nits brightness monitor. And to give you an example of what that means, if you have an iMac with a 5K Retina display, actually I think the 4Ks as well, that has about like a 500 nit brightness screen. So it's just a little bit. We are the computers that say. So it's not quite as bright as like a Retina display, 5K Retina display iMac, but that's still pretty good. The big differences between the low end and the high end for the MacBook Air seems to be the number of GPU cores. The low end has 7, the high end has 8.
Yep.
And I was talking about this on, I think it was Mac to the Future livecast, which you can find at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over there on the Facebooks. And what I was told was that there's a number of these chips that will have like a damaged core or a core that doesn't quite work properly, and that they're using those for the low end, which didn't make any real sense to me. My understanding is they basically just turn off one of the cores through firmware so that you get a 7 or 8 core GPU, because I can't see them going, well, it's damaged, but we're going to put it in a computer anyway. That doesn't make any sense to me.
No.
I
wonder if all of the computers have got 16 gig of RAM in there and they just turn that on or off according to what you buy.
Maybe, because I doubt it costs them any more to have an 8 gigabyte section of the CPU or a 16 gigabyte section.
Interesting.
The other big difference is the base storage, 256 versus 512, and we were kind of discussing that earlier. It has 2 Thunderbolt 3 USB 4 ports, which I guess is what they're now calling USB-C.
$9.99. Yeah, because the Apple Thunderbolt port is also a USB-C, isn't it? Yeah.
At least in the way it's shaped.
Yeah. Well, I think it handles it as well. So anyway.
Sure. Well, I mean, you can take a USB-C device and plug it into Thunderbolt, and it'll work just fine.
Yeah.
You can't take a Thunderbolt device and plug it into USB-C.
No. Correct.
Because the amount of bandwidth that's required is so much greater for Thunderbolt. $9.99 for the cheap model, $12.49 for the base configuration. So for $250, Gaz, you get that one more core for the GPU and an extra 256 gigs of storage. So it's basically $50 for the extra core.
Yeah, so what does that work out at then, Guy? So how many have they got in total? How many cores? 16 times 50. That's £800 then. So there you go. So if you wanted an extra 16 cores to make it 32 cores, it costs you an extra £800 or dollars. Yeah, I kind of don't think that's how it works, but yeah.
No, not for the M1.
No,
and there's no Intel option for the MacBook Air anymore, unless you get it through refurb. So that's
true. Yeah, that is true.
So that's the MacBook Air, and the M1, and and it's why I said at the beginning that these specs are going to be pretty much the same across the board. You have for each M1 processor, as it stands right now, you have an 8-core CPU, and that's 4 performance, 4 efficiency cores each. And then you have the GPU, which also has 8 cores. And then you also have a section for the 16-core neural engine and a section for however much RAM has been allocated for that particular chip. And this is all in one processor. It's called System on a Chip, and I'm sure pretty much everyone who listens to this show knows that. But that's basically what it is. So this is why you get these crazy, insane amounts of battery life, 15, 16 to 20 hours of battery life on these computers. So you could basically go from New York to Australia on a plane and have, of course, you wouldn't be doing much, but you could have battery life for that entire time. Basically, you just open it up every once in a while. Oh, it's still on. Okay, turn it back. Oh, you want to actually do something with it? Okay, well, that's going to cut it down. That's going to cut it down quite a bit. So that's the MacBook Air. And the next one they announced, or actually, I don't know if that was the next one, but let's talk about the MacBook Pro, which was also 13.3 inch.
Yeah, that came after.
Was that the second one?
I think that came after the Mini, didn't it? Oh, I don't know. Anyway.
Okay. Well, we're going to talk about the MacBook Pro first. The exact same processor as the MacBook Air. So it's 4 performance, 4 efficiency, 8-core GPU, 16-core neural engine, 8 or 16 gigs of RAM, 500 nits brightness. So it's 20% brighter than the MacBook Air. 20%. Guys.
When you say it like that, that's a lot, isn't it? Really?
It seems like it is, but Apple loves to throw that it's 2x faster. It's 20% faster.
You see,
like, well, what is that in real life?
Yeah, when it comes to 100 more nits over 400, although the number is 20% more, is that 20% more brightness? Don't know. I'm not a nit expert, so I can't tell you. I'm just a nit.
Yeah, I was going to say we're both just a couple of nits. Yeah. So if you had 250 of the two of us, that would be 500 nits.
That's a lot. That's a lot of nits.
That's a huge number of nits. Again, the big difference seems to be base storage, 256 versus 512. Now this one has 2 Thunderbolt 3 USB 4 ports, just like the Air, but it also has 2 USB A type ports and audio out port. And it also has, for people who are paying attention, the touch bar, which, Gaz, as you may recall, runs off of an ARM processor. So the MacBook Pro actually has not one ARM processor, but 2 ARM processors. And
I've got to say, that is one thing that you didn't predict all those years ago.
No, I did not. And it's $12.99 or $14.99.
Failure.
And so $12.99 and $14.99 for base configurations, and there is still an Intel model available if you want to order one.
Intel models.
Yep. And finally, we are down to the one that I bought, which is the Mac Mini.
Go guy.
Again, M1 processor, all the same stuff. Big difference, again, is base storage, 256 versus 512. Like the MacBook Pro, it has 2. And this is the weird thing. On the Intel Mac Mini that this is replacing, even though it's still available if you want to order it, it had 4 Thunderbolt ports. So why does this one only have 2? Unless it's a bandwidth thing. And I don't know. And I'm wondering if this is also related to why it can only do 1 monitor out. Though the Mac Mini, of course, you can do 2 if you use the other HDMI port. So anyway, getting past that.
Yeah.
2 Thunderbolt 3 ports, USB 4 ports, 2 USB A ports, an audio out port, which is probably almost every other thing that Apple makes no longer has audio out ports.
No. I dispute you on this point. I believe the MacBook Pro has a audio out port.
Yes, it does. I forgot about that.
Thank Gaz,
it also has
absolutely right.
Oh, darn it.
Gaz, you are absolutely right.
There we go. It also has a gigabit Ethernet port, which is good because I've got a whole setup here that I can connect it to. And there are Intel models available.
Yes.
Now,
one Intel model.
For the Mac Mini, which will have 4, not 2, but 4.
Now we were having a
ports.
bit of a discussion about that earlier, and I don't know whether, Guy, you're going to put that in the after show. So if you are, I won't say what I'm going to say about the 2 models that are being shown.
Go ahead.
Okay, so what I found really odd, folks, was that when I went to the Mac Mini, and we think we know why this is, we come to the conclusion anyway. On the Mac Mini package, there are 2 models. Oh, right, 2 models. Let's have a look at the differences. That's the same. Yep, yeah, M1. Yep, yeah, 16K cut. Yeah, that's the same. But yeah. Oh, that's 256 gigabyte, and that's 512 gigabyte. Okay, that's a difference. Yep. Okay, let me have a look at the smaller one then. So I had a look at the smaller one, and it's got 256 up to 2 terabytes. Okay. So let me go and have a look at what the difference is on the 512, because there must be more RAM options or something on there. No, actually there are less options. That you can't have as many hard drive options. It goes from 512 to 2 terabytes. So and the price difference for each of that jump in the hard drive is exactly the same on both of them. So we've assumed, Guy and I, that actually they didn't want to put the Intel model Mac Mini that is still available next to the Silicon Mac Mini on the same level. I.e., you have to scroll down to see the Intel versions of these particular Macs to be able to make a decision as to whether you want it or not.
Right. And
that's it. I just found that really odd, but there you go. Yeah, go on, sorry.
I was the reason that we kind of, or the thinking that we kind of came up as to why they did this was they didn't want people to pick the Intel Mac Mini by mistake, thinking that it was also a brand new model and all the rest of that, when it's not. It's the same one that they've had since whenever the Mac Mini was last updated.
It does kind of make sense, but in a way I still think it looked odd. But there you go.
It is odd. Okay, now the other thing. Go ahead.
Go on.
No, you.
No, it's your section. I'm interrupting you, and there's no. Will you stop interrupting me, Gaz?
Well, it's not like I ever interrupt you, ever.
Well, no, you don't. That's right. So.
Yeah. See there. Well, Big Sur Gaz is also out, and if you are not updating to a new M1 Mac, chances are most of your apps will continue to either run natively, or if the developers have coded for it through Rosetta 2, I'm sorry, I messed that up, will run natively if the developers have coded it for Big Sur, or through Rosetta 2, which will run Intel apps through emulation. And again, word to the wise, some apps not yet ready for M1 Macs will not run under any circumstances. And also remember, just like when Catalina came out, there will be apps. There will be apps that don't work because of some of the major changes that Apple has made in the macOS. So check compatibility of all of your mission critical or just the apps that you like to run before you update to Big Sur, because going from a newer operating system back to an older version of the operating system is not always the piece of cake that you may think it is.
Or you may
what's the other thing we tell people to do before doing a great big OS update, Gaz?
Back up.
Yep.
Back up.
Unless, of course, you're on Carbon Copy Cloner, then you may have a...
No, you can.
It works in Catalina.
Works
Right. Sorry.
Yeah.
But I wonder if you backed it up via Catalina, put Big Sur on, decided you didn't want to run Big Sur anymore, and then used Carbon Copy Cloner to put it back to Catalina, would you have a problem because the base OS on your computer is Big Sur? So, with that being said,
you're not seriously asking me that question, are you?
No, I'm not.
Good.
Make sure that your backup, that you can boot from your backup,
that's
because
the way
if
to
you
do it.
can't, then that could that could come into play.
Because at least if you can boot from your backup, but you can't put it back onto your machine, you can still boot from your backup. Yeah.
Right. And do the stuff that you want to do.
Yeah. Now, I wish I'd continued interrupting you, actually. Going back to the Macs, they showed some graphs at the event, Guy, showing how much faster the Apple Silicon Macs were than normal everyday PCs. I think we're going to have to wait to see proof of the pudding, real life, just how accurate those graphs were, because obviously they don't want us to look at the gigahertz, although people are going to try and work that out.
Yeah, and it's irrelevant.
And it is irrelevant. It is irrelevant.
This is RISC versus CISC.
Yeah.
RISC being reduced instruction set, CISC being complex instruction set. This was the same argument that we were fighting in the early 2000s with x86 versus PowerPC. Yeah.
So they'll try and keep away from that, but we really have got to, those graphs, I think that a 4-year-old drew those graphs for them, and they like the curve correlation, so they use them.
It's all wavy.
But yeah, we'll wait and see. I'm sure. Apple normally are fairly good at giving results because they can be so caught out on it, and they can be so lambasted if it's wrong. So, but real world usage, let's wait and see.
Right.
Good section. Well, that's nicely done, Guy. I like what you did there. Thank you very much for that update. He's nodding his head. Well, you want me to play it? Or play?
Mostly. Gaz's tips. Mostly. Gaz's tips. It's time for Gaz's tip.
Short and sweet, this one. On your Mac. Are you ready? Command H, Guy, hides your current active application. But if you've got lots of applications on your screen, like I do at the moment, and you want to concentrate on just one of the applications, if you go Command Option H, it hides all the others except the current active application. And I like that. Do you?
I do. I'm now currently trying to get all of my
stuff. I was
stuff
hoping that you would have nodded your head when I asked you.
I can't because Farrago is missing. There it is.
Well, let me do it then.
I found it.
Hit it. That's the end of Gaz's tips. That's the end of Gaz's tips. That's the end of Gaz's tips.
Is that the end of the tip?
Will you let me finish?
Gaz's tips. Whoops. Too early.
Gaz, you are absolutely right.
Yeah, as soon as I hit Command Option H and everything disappeared, it was like, that probably wasn't a good idea because Gaz is almost done with his tip.
Yeah. Well,
Gaz, you've got a point.
Yeah. It was kind of a really dumb thing for me to do.
Never mind. No for pick's sake for me this week. How about you?
I do have one for this week, as a matter of fact.
Good.
I was talking earlier about having to get a new monitor, and I have to say that I am very impressed with the quality of this monitor, especially at the price I paid for it. It's the Dell S2721. I love these names because they mean so much.
They do.
Dell
they roll off the tongue, and it's instantly recognizable about what you're buying.
2721. No, S2721QS 27-inch IPS 4K monitor. If you go and look at it on Amazon, it's about $400. However, I got it at a local Microcenter for $300 as it's on sale currently. So if there's a Microcenter store near you, I'm guessing Gaz does not have a Microcenter near him. You might still be able to pick one up for $300. The great thing about this monitor, it has two HDMI 2 ports. It has one DisplayPort. It has up to 3840 by 2060 resolution. It is 350 nits. brightness. And you remember I was talking about the iMac. By comparison, the 27-inch iMac has 500 nits.
Yep.
But for because color correction doesn't really come into the stuff that I normally do, doesn't really matter that much. The two screens side by side look really, really nice together, and it's reasonably priced. So go and check that out if you need a 4K monitor for your system.
Excellent. I like it.
Yeah, me too. And I got a coffee this week, Gaz.
Oh, well done, you.
I did. Owen Rubin, old friend of the show. Well, he's not that he's really old, but an old friend of the MyMac podcast. Likes what I do. I know. Likes what I do, and every once in a while he'll send me a coffee, and he did. And if you also would like to send me a coffee, not Gaz in particular, I think him putting up with me each week is payment enough. You can go to Coffee, K-O, for you. That's more than payment enough to put up with me every week. ko-fi.com/MacPettit. And you
I'm still trying to work that out, Guy, actually. I think someone's put me in
I'm moving on from that because I may have said it wrong. You can support me through Patreon, patreon.com/MacParrot. And of course, you can pay a pal by going to paypal.me/MacParrot. Now, Gaz.
What?
Gaz.
What?
If people wanted to get a hold of, not me, but you, how would they do so?
As the music indicates, there will be Zeds. So send an email to gaz@mymac.com. That's GAZ
Cars.
at mymac.com, or on the Twitters, twitter.com/Gazmaz, GAZMAZ, or on the Twitters, both Guy and Gaz, which is twitter.com/GUYAND GAZ.
Ours.
Was that ours?
Yeah.
You could also send an email to feedback@mymac.com. That's FEEDBACK. And that's the best way to get hold of me, certainly. Now, what was his name?
His name was Guy.
Nice.
Are you messing with me?
No fooling.
Oh, right. Okay. Pardon? What did you say?
Guy?
And?
He's the guy.
Oh, right. I see. Do you?
You remember Guy?
No, I don't.
You should.
Is he?
Guy's the one.
Is he really? How much does he get paid?
Guy was paid at 75 grand.
Well, I'm not sure.
Lie.
Do we know it was a guy?
Well,
We do.
I think.
I like to go with Guy.
Yeah, so do I. So, has he got anything to say?
Guy says,
What does he say?
Pay no attention to that guy behind the curtain.
He does say that, definitely. Now, if you want,
An email from Guy.
how
I was like, whoa, what happened?
how would they do it?
You would send that to, what could that email address be, Gaz?
Guy.
Guy?
Yeah. At mymac.com. There we go. And you could also reach me on the Twitters. I have not one, but two different Twitter handles. One for most everything and the other one for everything else. So, there you go. It's MacParrot and VertShark. Nope, that's it. Cut it off. We also have an email address. Did I miss anything? No, I got everything good. Okay, email. Not email. It's Skype.
Skypey.
I swear.
Guys, Skypey.
I am feeling every single one of my 60 years at the moment. It is 1 or +1 outside of the United States.
And how's that going for you?
Not good. Not good at all. 1 or +1 outside the United States, 703-436-9501. And to give you that number one more time, Gaz, it is 1 or +1 703-436-9501. And if you don't want to dial a 1 or a +1, just go right into that Skype application and dial 703-436-9501. That's all you got to do. And
don't give up on us, folks. Don't give up on us, baby.
Baby, it can still come true. So I swear we're getting near the end of the show. Hold on. It's almost here. This is the part of the show where we say to everyone that's listening, thank you. Thank you so very much from the heart of our bottom of our hearts. That you have taken the time to download and listen to the MyMac.com podcast. It is greatly appreciated. And Gaz, you know,
what?
I think that we're good enough.
What, the G-Men?
Yeah, us.
Yeah,
you, me, this show.
Yeah.
And that we're smart enough.
What, the G-Men?
Well, somebody is.
Yeah. Okay.
And that, well, through repetition, we have figured out how to do this show.
Okay.
And that, doggone it. And you know what dogs say?
Woof, woof.
Woof, woof, woof. People like us.
Guy hört ilk sitt ord för de hand, sagde att han icke ville kuba en med Mac. Icke för skulle vi få teknik fra ham, svar förde han aldrig sagt Pinky Bandy. Oh, I haven't got a joke ready. I haven't got a joke ready. I'm going to go. Oh, well, so I'm going to do this one that I told you the other day, actually.
Okay.
This morning, Guy, I tried to catch some fog.
You tried to do, wait, hold on. You tried to do what?
This morning, Guy, I tried to catch some fog.
Really?
Missed.
Ooh,
and...
So you can all go home and there's nothing to worry about. Get out of here now. Go on home and go home.